Hellraiser is directed by Clive Barker, who also wrote the book that this movie is based on, The Hellbound Heart, and it is about a guy named Frank who discovers the Lamachance box. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Um, and he summons the Cenobites, and the Cenobites brings pain and pleasure, and they basically kill him. And we jump ahead in time, and Frank's brother and his wife moves into Frank's old house, and he is under the floorboards in the upstairs bedroom. So Frank and his brother's wife has a history together. They had an affair, and so he's trying to convince her to kill people for him because he needs blood so he can come back to life so they can be together. So this series is a lot like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they just cannot make a good movie about Pinhead, just like they can't make a good movie about Leatherface. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the remake is pretty much the only good two movies in that series, and there's not really any good movies in the Hellraiser series. So I really don't like this movie. I find it really boring, except for the last maybe 30 minutes. And I really like the book version, and I asked myself, well, why do I like the book but I don't like the movie? Because they're identical. They're a lot alike. The movie has some extra story to it, but it's pretty much just like the book. And so I think the reason why I don't like the movie a whole lot is because of the actors in it. I don't think they did that good of a job. So when you have a movie with slow scenes or boring scenes, you'll have the characters to rely on for your entertainment. But not with this movie. I didn't like the characters, and it didn't help with the parts that dragged. It made the movie even more painful to watch. And Pinhead is barely in this movie. So if you sat down to watch Hellraiser for Pinhead, you'll probably be massively disappointed because he's in the first part of the movie for a couple minutes, and then you don't really see him again until the last 30 minutes of the movie. So yeah, you are stuck with these characters that you are not going to like for the majority of the runtime. And while we're talking about Pinhead, a little fun fact, he's actually a female in the book, which was pretty interesting. The reason why they changed him to a guy is because when this movie came out, slasher villains were dominated by male villains, and they changed Pinhead into a guy because they thought that he would have fit in better in that day and time if he was a guy like all the other slasher villains. But the movie does have pretty good practical effects, and if you know me, I'm a sucker for practical effects. I love them to death. That's why I love 80s slasher movies. And when Frank is forming, when his body is coming together, that was really, really good. Very impressive. And it may surprise you to know that I've never seen a Hellraiser movie until the last probably 5 years. So, yeah, I never grew up with it, and it was pretty new to me, even though I'm a big horror fan. And Doug Bradley is great as Pinhead. It just sucks that he didn't get enough time to shine. And what has me coming back to this series and watching it, or watching the movies that I do enjoy, that I know are bad, but I do get some enjoyment. What has me coming back is the lore and the Cenobites and how creepy they are, and the puzzle box. That shit is just fucking awesome to me. And I would also like to really see a Hellraiser movie with Pinhead being a woman. Like, I think that would be really fascinating and cool to play around with. So I'm going to give Hellraiser a C. So do you like this movie? Have you ever read the book? Let me know down in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And I will see you guys later for another horror movie review.